What is up, guys? Welcome to this video. In this one, I'm going to be talking about why adults are not creative. Now, I came across a study the other day that showed that about 98% of children aged 4 to 5 are creative geniuses. And that by the time they're about 10 years old, only 30% of them are still at that level of creativity. And by the time that they're adults, only about a few percent of them are, maybe 2 or 3. And this is extremely alarming to me because it's just showing me that there's something horribly sickening about what we're doing to children that we all kind of believe is okay and what we should be doing, which is downright screwed up. Now, I have a simple category behind me that shows what creativity consists of and qualities that go along with creativity and qualities that go along with our modern society and our social norms that block out creativity. Now, this video is going to be very important for anyone who wants to be creative, wants to create fantastic things, and is just kind of curious about this subject. And creativity in this context does not just mean creating fantastic works of art. It actually means genuine and authentic expression as well. It means how you actually express yourself in the world, how you think, how you go about walking down the street. It's very practical. It's not just this sort of abstract thing, but it's how you walk, how you talk, how you have conversations, the jokes you make, the things you do, like how you cook, how you feel when you're cooking. It really enters every aspect of our life. Now, these are just some qualities associated with creativity. So what is creativity? What are some qualities with it? It's very free. It's very free and open. It's very spontaneous and happens naturally in the moment. It's very alive, it's healthy, and it's vital. Vital as in full of energy. You get basically your peak creativity when all these 6 things are sort of checked off. And if we look at these, we can see that children have a lot of these qualities to them. Although children are also very impulsive in somewhat unhealthy ways due to the development of their brain, but whatever. That's some other stuff. But children display a lot of these qualities. And it's extremely alarming that we seem to lose a lot of this by age 10. Like, what the hell is happening in a school where the majority of kids have lost what is natural and authentic to them and have been basically filled with so much crap that they're completely confused about what is natural and authentic to them, which I'm going to be talking about that later on in the video. And here we have some aspects of modern society and social norms that basically restrict creativity. So, of course, modern society is very restrictive, it's very habitual. There's really, change happens very slowly, which is good and bad. It has its ups and downs, really. Modern society is very closed. We don't really let new ideas in. We don't let new inventions through the doors to, the general public, very often. Modern society is very fixed, it's very dull, it's very numbing, it's very distracting, and it's downright sick. Now, I'm not just ranting about society. It's not what this video is, although it sounds like it. I'm pointing to actually some very profound things that are extremely toxic and have basically infected the minds of the vast majority of people. Our food is very dull and numbing and distracting. Our entertainment is dull, numbing, and distracting. It makes us sick. How we live our lives, their schedules are very fixed, restrictive, and closed. The kinds of information that we see as valid and invalid is very closed. It's very restricted, it's very fixed. The kinds of things that we're allowed to explore and do, even in school, is very fixed, very closed, very rigid. And this is an extremely massive issue because it's not that like, the kids aren't creative, but this actually, not having this and instead having this actually creates a lot of illness within the mind of young children, which, I don't know, I guess matters to me. And really, this doesn't go away for the rest of a person's life, really. When all of their most natural and authentic qualities have been covered up and replaced with basically bullshit, that's not a great life to live. It's loaded with suffering and delusion and pain and emotional repression and groupthink. And basically, throughout the rest of this video, I'm going to be explaining a lot of the key things that block off creativity. So I wrote a little bit, and I guess I gotta read it. So creativity not only relates to creating new things, but also your authentic and healthy expression as the individual that you are. That does not include, this does not only include things like making music, art, painting, fantasy, etc. And this also has to do with basically healthy and authentic expression. Now, what is basically one of the main reasons why we aren't creative? And I'm going to have a lot, but it kind of boils down to this. So ideas piling up throughout our lives act as a cage for thinking in new directions, using our intuition, gathering new information through feeling and awareness. The ideas we become attached to early on in life act as blocks and walls in our mind. They restrict our ability to seek truth, create fantastic and new things, and see reality clearly. These ideas are unconsciously associated with safety and with an ability to survive in our mind. So this basically gets into the first thing that blocks off creativity, which is ideology. Every kid from a young age is very confused about the world around them. They're very scared, they're very timid, they got to hold their mommy and daddy's hand, and they need a lot of support. And in order to fit into the whole social dynamic that is going on, which is absolutely essential for survival, they have to buy into belief systems that are around them. So growing up in, let's say, a conservative household or a liberal household, you have to adopt the beliefs basically of that family in order to really create enough connection and be loved. Same thing goes with religion and even science. If you're in a scientific household, odds are you're going to adopt the beliefs of that household and of that culture, of that school, of that sports team, of that organization. So around any group of people, there's a set of values and beliefs that is basically dictating a lot of their behavior. What they're doing, what they're thinking, what they think is true, what they think is good, bad, right, wrong. And this is probably what I would say the largest block to creative thinking is. It's basically conformity. And it's not that, I'm not using the word conformity in this standard way where it's, you go along with the crowd, man. You're a sheep, you go along with the herd. But conformity is actually something that is really programmed into the human mind before we can even do anything about it. Because in order to fit into a group, we have to conform to the beliefs of that group. And it doesn't matter what group you're in. It doesn't matter at all what group you're in. There's still a set of values and beliefs that is going to restrict your ability to be creative and express yourself within any group, whether it's religion, politics, science as well. Science is very restrictive and very closed, actually. So this basically has a lot to do with social norms and getting acceptance. This is one of the largest blocks to creativity. We do not reward, let's say, creativity in school. That's not rewarded. We do not reward a love for learning. What we reward instead is high grades and good behavior. If you don't get high grades, you're punished. If you don't, if you're not on your best behavior, you're punished. Which basically leads me to my next point, but I'm going to talk a little bit more about ideology. So any kind of belief system acts as a sort of restricting force on your mind, and you adopt these ideas out of survival, basically, out of pure survival. It's a very sort of primitive thing to do. And all kids have to do them in order to get the acceptance and the love that they that they need to survive. So that is absolutely huge. Moving on, unconscious fear, shame, and guilt. This has a lot to do with a person's inability to create. Like I said, a kid is very free and open, and they're very healthy, alive, vital, they're full of energy, spontaneous. And as they get older, especially through modern education systems, I live in Canada, so especially through the education system that I was brought up in, there's a lot of shaming little kids for doing things that really stupid teachers don't like. This is absolutely massive. How we treat young kids for misbehaving basically ensures that they will be traumatized for the rest of their life unless they get lucky enough, really, and stumble upon some books or some videos like this that encourages them to go back and actually feel through what is stuck inside of them and what is blocked inside of them. Because it's not that fear and shame and guilt, like they're just like these things that come up every once in a while and they go away. These repressed and unconscious emotions actually get stuck within your body. They don't go anywhere. They're literally stuck inside of you. Our bodies, most people walk around with a lot of tension. They don't even know that they're tense. They don't even look at why the hell is my body so tight? Like what emotion is behind there that is this uncomfortable, this unhealthy, this screwed up. It's making my muscles tense and clash with each other nonstop. So basically, a lot of our education system turns children into lapdogs. We are very good at manipulating young children to act in the specific way that we want them to behave. And this is obviously a very complicated issue. Our education system is very restrictive. And the only way to really make it more open is really to invest more money into it. We need high quality psychologists that actually understand how kids learn to come in and also rewrite a lot of how things are done. We need to really get kids to understand how their personality works, to get clarity, to really understand strengths and weaknesses, emotions, self-awareness, interpersonal skills. A lot of what is taught in the education system is very narrow, very limited, and really not every kid is going to fit into it very well. In fact, the majority of kids are just not going to fit into it well, which is what a lot of polls show us. Apparently, the majority of kids feel sad in school. They don't feel good in school, especially when it comes to creativity. It completely destroys that, actually, which is disease. That's dysfunctional as hell. Now, this, of course, this whole topic makes me sick. But to actually solve this problem, it's insanely hard. We need more teachers, more support for kids, more curriculums, more subjects to study, personality tests to give kids a lot more freedom to pick and choose what they want to do instead of forcing them to do specific things. I remember when I was in grade 3, I had to write the letter A, uppercase and lowercase, I don't know, maybe 50 times, and then do that for the rest of the alphabet. I had one full 8.5 by 11-inch piece of paper of just the letter A, and I had to, it was basically like it was like a little tracing of it, and I had to go over it with my pencil. And I had to do that for the whole, for the whole page. And I remember I was 8 years old at the time. I remember how sad and how numb and sick I basically felt doing that, because I know how to write the letter A by the time I was 8. I was very good at reading. I could read very well from a young age. But, I had to basically sit there and I was just drilled with this one really stupid exercise that some kids need, but I didn't at the time. I didn't have to learn the letter A over and over and over and over and over again for like how many hours, and then do that with the rest of the alphabet. I was more imaginative, and that never left me. I wanted to write. I wanted to do creative things, but that's just not supported in school whatsoever. So naturally, kids just kind of lose that because they are drilled with a lot of information that is very impractical, and this information acts as a restrictive force on their mind. It's not just school, it's actually all the adults in the world. All the adults in the world are very dull, to be honest. Not all of them, but a large portion of them are very numb, very distracted. They don't eat very good food. They're not in good shape. They have a lot of repressed emotions, terrible, it's very complicated. I'm not like judging everyone, saying everyone is just stupid, but this is kind of the case that odds are you watching this video are included in this, and myself as well, that everyone is walking around with a lot of very garbage beliefs, deeply repressed emotions, very deep states of confusion that are actually covered up and sort of, below the surface within us. These are covered up with a lot of dumb beliefs. And this whole thing is basically a massive disaster and is causing sickness. It's basically taking us away from all of the most authentic things our most authentic self. It's basically taking us away from that and instead giving us this. The sort of normal state that humans walk around in is very dull. It's not clear, it's not sharp, it's not energized, it's not connected with life, it's not free, it's not open, spontaneous, imaginative. It's none of this. It's dull, lethargic, foggy, delusional. This is the norm right now. And kids have to adapt to this, and they do a really good job at adapting to our stupidity. So adults, because of this, they project all of their unconscious emotions onto children and basically infect them with these delusional behaviors, with these terrible habits, this really stupid way of life that basically leaves us disconnected from ourselves, people around us, the world we live in. We have really high divorce rates. We have massive mental illness. We have horrible food that is completely tinkered with, that is designed to manipulate systems within a person to get them addicted so that people can make money. And really, we all just kind of go along with this. This is kind of just what the modern, Western civilization is about. It's really full of crap. And obviously, I'm kind of ranting right now, but I'm only doing it not because I hate society. That's not what it is. There's a lot of good things too, but that we have a lot of very unhealthy things that aren't even seen as unhealthy. They're just seen as normal, like the way of life, like waking up and checking your phone right away, or even scrolling on social media a lot. This is a very toxic habit to be on a lot of these platforms for hours a day. And a lot of kids, relatively young kids have phones, and all these social media apps, for example, are designed to be addictive and to exploit a human's brain so that people can make money. People are basically robbed of their authentic self, not just for money, but kind of for money. But it's all, the thing about this is that I'm not saying that there's some evil, capitalist elite draining us and all of this, although there is some truth to that. I'm not saying anyone's evil or to blame. What I'm saying really is that all of this is unconscious, that we're all kind of just going along with it like stupid animals without any self-awareness at all, or any ability to reflect on what it is we're doing, without any honesty, without any clarity. Check out my video, Self-Honesty for Clarity. Basically, we act like idiots. And we do a good job of convincing ourselves that we're smart and we know what's going on in the world and that we're healthy. But really, this is just a giant social delusion that everyone is sort of bought into. It's just like the social hypnosis. Almost everyone is sick. Everyone is completely out of touch with their authentic self. Everyone has repressed emotions. Everyone is really unintelligent. And it's just kind of seen as the norm. we all have a lot of beliefs inside each of us that is just totally delusional and doesn't make any sense. So adults basically have a lot of unconscious emotions, a lot of unconscious fear, unconscious anxiety, unconscious worry, unconscious body tension, unconscious beliefs that get imposed upon kids just by interacting with them. Because kids learn through observation. This is fundamental to how children learn. They learn through seeing, through observing. And if we have, I think we have pretty high rates of suicide among young kids, young people nowadays, and high rates of mental illness. Where are they getting it from? Where is this coming from? If we know that they learn through observation, who are they picking it up off of? They're watching all the older people. I remember being young, and I remember so many times that there would be some person who's older than me say, you know, you're just a kid. What do you know? And every time that was said to me, I remember I just knew there was something wrong with that. There was just something like so dysfunctional to say that to young people, so uncaring, and there's just something there that is so delusional. So basically, to sum up what I'm saying is that really the adults are stupid. People are not, like you and I are included in this. I really want you to get that. It's not that like, oh yeah, those people out there are stupid. No. It's you and I that are involved in this. It's not some person out there who's evil and bad. It's you and I. We have very primitive behaviors that are toxic and sickening that get passed on to kids unconsciously, and then we wonder why they're depressed or, you know, whatever. Why we have so many suicides nowadays. Because adults don't know how to be healthy. No one knows how to be healthy, really. No one knows what health is. I have a video, What is Health? Understanding Well-Being. Go check that one out. That one is extremely important. I'm going to make a part 2 to that. I already have it planned out. I have a bunch of ideas. That's going to be very important. So this just sounds like a rant, but it really does just sound like a rant. But I mean, you know, I'm a little bit pissed off about it because, you know, what we do to young kids is just sickening. You know, we're a very primitive species, and we like to tell ourselves how smart we are. We love to convince ourselves that the humans are the smartest known species. I mean, yeah, I guess we might be the smartest known species, but we aren't a smart species at all, really. And that can change. And really health and intelligence go together. You actually can't have clarity. You can't be conscious. You can't be deeply conscious. You can't have a high level of consciousness. You can't really be very highly psychologically evolved without health and well-being, without getting your needs met in functional ways. It's antithetical to one another. So check out my video, What is Health? That's extremely important. I basically destroy the sort of standard idea of health because it's wrong. Moving on. Limited subjects in school. This is a good one as well. School doesn't have that much subjects. School does not teach psychology. School doesn't have interpersonal skills, emotional awareness, meditation, yoga, really, stuff like this. School's health class is honestly a disgrace to the word health. It is completely wrong, actually. I remember growing up, they gave me just blatantly incorrect information that I bought. And I mean, that wasn't very long ago. That was like, I don't know, I must have been like 6 at the time when I started learning health, and I'm 23 now. It wasn't long ago. And I mean, even nowadays, when people think of health, they think of eat your fruits and your vegetables and do some exercise, and that's health. But that is not health. This is a very primitive understanding of health. If a Nazi eats his fruits and vegetables and exercises, is he healthy? I don't really think so. I don't think there's really such thing as a healthy Nazi. Really, we know that, really, if you go to a lot of the top psychologists and you look at what the hell they think healthy is, these people are pretty profound, actually. They really, like, cutting edge modern psychology is really profound, actually. There's a lot of very radical things that go against our whole way of life that are basically sort of, to many of these people, just easily understood. Some good examples of that would be a guy named Scott Barry Kaufman. He actually has this book right here. Look, Wired to Create. This is a fantastic book, Unraveling the Mysteries of the Creative Mind. Wired to Create. Great book. Also, Dr. Gabor Mate. I have some of his books. I think I said that right. Gabor Mate. Pretty sure that's his name, how to say it. But yeah, like he has a lot of great books. So once again, back to limited subjects in school. There wasn't really creative writing. I didn't have much of that. For the most part, what was it? English, which is important, math, which is important, science, which is important. Those were the top three. Physical exercise was completely undervalued. We didn't even have it every day. We didn't have gym every day, which is extremely important. You have to get up out of your chair and move, really. And, the teachers have to teach you how to move, how to be well, how to get some exercise. A lot of people struggle with stuff like going to the gym or getting exercise. And, these are habits that can be learned very early in life and are very basic, but people struggle with this until they're 30, 40, 50. It's ridiculous, actually, that we just don't know this stuff. Like, we do know it, but that really, like, the way we're living our life is just so toxic and so unhealthy. And this fuels delusion and inaccuracy in our worldview. Our emotional trauma that's been repressed fuels delusion and forms of sickness in our relationships, in our careers, in our politics, in how we educate children, in how we make money, in how we relate to each other, of course. How humans make decisions is not just this rational thing. It's not like I had this idea and now I made the decision. How humans make decisions is guided by what makes us feel safe and secure. It's significantly more emotional than it is rational. And this is something that we overlook and we're deeply unconscious of, because most people don't have very deep degrees of emotional intelligence either. Kids aren't taught emotional intelligence. Read this book right here. Look. Like Emotional Intelligence by Daniel Goleman. This is a good book. Now moving on. We need more subjects in school. We have to learn emotional intelligence. Our life is completely dictated by our state. Success, we're finding out, success in the world is dictated by emotional intelligence. We're not learning it in school, though. I don't know why. Instead, we have to drill kids with the letter A for an hour a day. So it's not that I don't like what's being taught in school. I'm just saying that it's restrictive and closed and fixed and dull and numbing and distracting, which is it's sickening. That we need more flexibility. We need more of these qualities. We need more openness. We need to be more alive. But we need good teachers for that. We need money. We got to change things. It's very difficult. People don't like change. Change is very threatening to people. It's a difficult one. So it's not that the subjects that we teach kids in school is just like the wrong subjects. It's just that it's not enough subjects. It's just too much of the same old crap that is, for the most part, very impractical. That makes people numb, dull. They lose their authentic self, their creativity. Kids have to be taught emotional awareness. What emotion is difficult for you to express? And how does this hold you back in your relationships, in your practical life, in your job, your career, with clients, with the people that you just surround yourself with. It's a very, very simple thing. What emotion is difficult for you to express? But kids aren't taught that. And whatever. This is a lot more important than it actually seems, but whatever. So self-awareness, interpersonal skills, emotional intelligence, social intelligence. A lot of kids suck at socializing. A lot of kids spend way too much time on their cell phone or looking at a screen of some kind that they can't walk up to people and just have a conversation. People feel really scared doing this kind of stuff. And yeah, I mean, a little bit of approach anxiety is normal, but a lot of kids just have really bad social skills. Like they cannot hold a conversation for like 10 minutes. They can't feel engaged. They have trouble sensing what other people around them are feeling, being empathetic. A lot of people feel very disconnected from each other. Why is that? Poor social intelligence, poor emotional intelligence. So next is unsupportive environments and teachers who don't know what they're doing. Teachers who lack clarity, lack direction, and actively confuse kids, which is really difficult. But a lot of teachers don't, for example, know child psychology. How do children learn? What makes a healthy child? Does punishment work, or does it just traumatize kids? How do I inspire people? That's a massive thing as a teacher. You have to learn how to inspire people, how to get people to have a long-term vision that they can work towards, some fantastic idea for what they want their life to be. That is extremely motivating. How do I help kids to avoid falling into traps in life? Because there's a lot of traps to fall into in life. There's a lot of distractions, a lot of ways to get sick, a lot of ways to really screw yourself up that everyone falls into. Everyone falls into them. How do I help kids to fall into as little traps as possible so that they don't spend 5 years banging their head against the wall? So unsupportive environments, basically, like I said, we don't support creativity in school. That's not rewarded. We don't support just a love for learning. That's also not supported. What we support is good behavior and high grades. We support basically conformity to rules so that the stupidest idiot can just survive, and competing for the highest grades. We basically just support, these are important. These are important to follow the rules and stuff. Like, it's not that it's not important. It's just that it's not enough. Is that it takes more than this to produce healthy children who can create fantastic things in the world and actually enjoy their life. Because what we're producing now is sick children who are mentally ill, who can't talk to a girl for 20 minutes. and I'll just leave it at that. What we're creating of our youth, what we're shaping them into, is really, really disgusting, actually. And they feel it. That's why, they say that, they're mentally ill. That's why they know these things. Like, a child is not stupid. A child can feel these things. A child just can't put them into words. A child cannot rationalize it the way an adult can. I remember being very young, and I had some teachers who were very mean to me. And I couldn't exactly put my mind on it and really say to myself, like, what is happening, but I could just feel it, that there's something off with this interaction, and that, like, I shouldn't really listen to them. I had teachers who were consistently angry. They were unsupportive. They would ignore me sometimes. I had a lot of great teachers too. But when I was young, I couldn't understand why this was the case. And I couldn't think about it too well because I was too young. I was like 7. But I could just intuitively pick up that there's something wrong with this. That this is just sickening. Now, moving on. I'll summarize a little bit. So kids can't rationalize the way an adult can. When a kid gets yelled at, for example, he doesn't really think that, maybe this person's just having a bad day. Maybe they're stressed, or maybe they got a lot of stuff on their mind. They really just feel guilty immediately. They feel scared. They're just a young child getting yelled at school. They just feel guilty and ashamed of themselves. This is really what a lot of punishment is doing. I remember just believing I was a bad kid at like age 8, because I would just get into trouble, because I was kind of just a bit of a hooligan, but I was also very creative. I wanted to do different things. I didn't want to write the letter A 100 times. I wanted to jump up and down and run around and laugh and cry and play and talk and write creative things and draw. I didn't want to write the letter A 100 times. And I remember just being punished for stuff like this, for just not wanting to do very dull and boring things. And of course, that is really how to just diminish a person's creativity, how to strip them of what is authentic to them and really fill them up with this. And it's not that it's stripped away from you. It's not like it's gone. It's not like that stuff has gone, that authenticity. It's not like it's gone anywhere. It's just been covered up with this. It's just covered up. And all of this is like a defense mechanism, because at one point when you were young, you were overwhelmed by the world around you. People got mad at you. You misinterpreted situations. You basically were traumatized in some way. You weren't accepted socially. Stuff like this. Even very little things. Something rubbed off on you the wrong way and it hurt you. And you develop a bunch of defense mechanisms and protective shells over the years. And basically this is the sort of defensive aspect, being closed, fixed, dull, not being able to feel yourself and examine yourself, numb, distracting yourself from all of this. That's all the defensive stuff. This is the open and healthy stuff that is really what we should be striving towards, to maximize this and only use this if it's completely necessary for the situation, like a last resort. But ideally, we want to be giving our kids more of this, not of this shit. So next we have zero openness to experience in schools. If you guys know about the Big Five, the personality test, you guys might have heard of the trait openness to experience. Now I get 100 out of 100 in openness to experience. Same thing with the Myers-Briggs test, the intuition trait. They're very similar. Kind of the same thing, whatever. I'll just say they're the same thing for now. Basically, extremely similar. And I get really high scores on this. And there's basically none of this in school. A lot of school does not support this. It doesn't support a lot of the traits associated with it. And I have a list of traits. It does not encourage intellectual curiosity. It does not encourage aesthetic sensitivity. It does not encourage imagination. It does not encourage low dogmatism and open-mindedness. Most definitely does not encourage that. It encourages you to adopt the beliefs, the rules, and all the crap that your teachers feed you, and to basically just run with it. Through a lot of punishment in school, kids are basically trained to be good little lapdogs through shaming them and guilting them, and it's unconscious. This is happening unconsciously. There's not some Dr. Evil from Austin Powers mastermind behind the scenes. It's that people are just doing this unconsciously. They have no idea. There's no tolerance of the unknown as well. And basically everything is deeply unknown. Everything you think you know, you actually have no clue about. I'm sorry, but we are a very ignorant species, and even how we go about knowing things is very primitive. Like there's a lot of, every answer generates 10 more questions if you're open enough to really investigate how much you know. When you really investigate this, you will realize you don't know anything at all. You can read 500 books, and really if you're wise, that'll leave you with an even deeper sense of mystery and not knowing. It's not going to leave you with a sense of completeness and it's all done and it's over. It's going to leave you with a sense of, holy crap, what is this world? It's profound, it's mysterious, it's magnificent. It might even be a bit frightening at times because it's so much. There's so much. So yeah, there's no tolerance of the unknown. Instead of embracing the unknown, we fill it up with beliefs and the things that we believe we know. A lot of the stuff that we think we know is just stuff we've adopted. Even the objects around us. What is reality at its most fundamental level? Like, what is a cereal box at its most fundamental level? What is it made out of? It's kind of strange because a lot of the stuff that we see that we think is so solid is actually 99.99999 empty space. Literally nothing there. Almost as though there's not even an object actually there. It's just a sort of clever appearance. So all of reality is far more mysterious, vast, open, and complicated than we like to admit. But our beliefs restrict that ability to basically become aware of that and be more creative, to think outside the box, to notice things that other people just simply aren't noticing. School does not accept altered states of consciousness, which is also a quality of openness to experience. We're still talking about openness to experience here. School does not accept really another thing. I got to go back to altered states of consciousness. This basically involves meditation and other stuff too. But really, we're taught very improperly about what subjective experience is and what consciousness is and what emotions are. And really, we're kind of just caught in a very particular state of consciousness. Like I said, humans for the most part are in a very dull state, and we sort of confuse this as the norm. We don't experiment with things outside of our normal states. And most humans' normal states are very low. They're not very high states. What's more normal? Basically, here's a good question. What is more normal? A person with a huge smile on their face, skipping down the street, smelling the flowers on the side of the road, overloading with joy, or someone with, anger, basically some sort of passive-aggressive anger walking down the street? Which one is more normal? Which one do you see more? So, I mean, obviously it's the latter, not the former. But a lot of the states that we're in are fearful, they're angry, they're feelings of unworthiness and shame. Even in our religions as well, even in science, we're just taught that we're just selfish. We're selfish, and we're bad, we're sinners, stuff like this. We're just traumatizing kids. We get them to believe stupid crap. So yeah, moving on. School does not teach you how to adapt to changing situations, and really there is a poor ability to almost effortlessly or at least easily adapt to changing situations. School shapes you up to be very rigid, very inflexible, and openness to experience, which is really, it's rare to be high in openness. It's not common. It's one of the rare things. It has a lot to do with creativity and other stuff. I'm going through all the qualities right now. But yeah, of course, this just isn't supported in school whatsoever. And kids just lose, they don't lose it, but it's just, like I said, it's covered up. It's like, it's there, but it's covered up. There's like a shield over it to sort of make sure that we don't go there. Because we get a belief in our head that this kind of stuff is bad. There is no seeking alternative ways to solve problems. For the most part, that's not really what's happening in schools. We're just taught very conventional stuff. We're taught just how to be good little lapdogs for the most part, once again. There's nothing unconventional. We don't really look at things outside of our culture. Like, I went to a Catholic school, and they didn't teach me Buddhism. They didn't teach me Hinduism. They didn't teach me Jainism, Islam, Judaism. They didn't teach me any of this. They taught me just what was conventional. And then they taught me some science, some math. They didn't teach me anything unconventional. They didn't say, here's conventional knowledge and here's some unconventional stuff. There's like we come together to agree on certain things that we believe are true, and then we exclude other things that also have a lot of validity in them. And conventional knowledge is really, it's really just for survival. Like our practical conventional knowledge is not a deep understanding of the world around us. It's not full of life. It doesn't spark a sense of wonder. It's very dull. It's like, oh, it's a cereal box. Oh, it's a book. And it's all mundane. Everything seems very mundane. This world is not mundane. This world is really mysterious and actually fantastic, but you lose connection with that very early on in life because, like I said, it's very complicated. But, you know, the adults actually push their own unconscious crap, all their unconscious beliefs, all their unconscious emotions, they push that onto young people, actually. School also does not support fantasy. There's not much creative writing or really just creativity in school. There's not much painting, not much singing, not much music, not much dancing, stuff like that. Or just even fantasizing. School does not integrate feelings and ideas, which is important for developing high cognitive development and high emotional intelligence. This is very important to integrate both feelings, basically emotions, and ideas. Not either or. School is very biased towards only the intellect, and now we have a society of very deeply emotionally unintelligent people who are very unhappy and are loaded with shame and guilt and mental illness, high suicide rates. So of course, what does this say? It means that we're out of balance in some area and we have to swing the pendulum back to a place of balance. We are way too off on one side and we do not look at the other side. A lot of people think emotions are just this sort of soft, girly crap, but that's really not it. Not even close. Emotions are extremely complex and they dictate basically your whole life. All the things that you entertain yourself with, all the reasons why you do a lot of the things that you do are completely dictated by emotions. Attentiveness to inner feelings is also not taught in school. There's no self-reflection, there's no meditating, investigating what is anger. What is anger? You know, oh, it's a feeling. I know what anger is. No, but why is anger there? What is anger doing? What's the purpose of anger? What's the purpose of fear? Like, why do we even feel fear? What's it trying to tell us? There's no attentiveness to any of this. These are very simple things. This is like the most, like, it's not simple, but it's just, we encounter these emotions so much throughout our life, and we're not taught about how they work, why they're there, how to feel them, how to properly integrate them, how to work with them. We're not taught at all about any of this, which closes a kid down. And these emotions actually, once again, they get stuck in your body. They don't just come and go willy-nilly. They actually get stuck in you. They get stuck. You hold them inside through body tension, muscles fighting muscles. It's actually stuck. It's literally in you. It doesn't just leave, get up and leave. They just don't, they just stay there until you go back and investigate them, feel them. Notice what orientations towards life are causing these sort of blocks and tension in your life, in your body. So yeah, absolutely no attentiveness to inner feelings. No adventurousness either. There's no really desire to adventure. Look at new things, look at new ideas, explore alternate perspectives. And there are kids who have a lot of intellectual curiosity who are deeply unsupportive in these environments. And these kids can grow up to be geniuses, really, but they're just not supportive or supported in these environments because it's not set up for creativity. It's set up for this. It's set up so that kids are dull and numb. It's set up so kids are very depressed, actually, and guilty. And look up statistics for how many kids are actually happy in school. How many kids feel positive in school? It's not the majority. Another thing they don't tell you is how to challenge authority. Challenging authority is not just some rebellious, like teenage attitude, but this actually goes really deep into the human psyche. We like to project a sense of authority onto the people around us, onto our teachers, onto famous people like Albert Einstein. Oh, Albert Einstein said this. He's so smart, so it must be true. Einstein said it. What is this? This is a sense of authority that gets projected onto someone. And you just believe them. Just like that. So this basically, once again, restricts your ability to think outside the box, to be creative, to do any of these things. Instead, it gets you to just buy into someone, regardless of who they are, whether it's Stephen Hawking, Albert Einstein, whatever, anyone at all. You're just buying into the stuff that they say. And they might be right, but they might be wrong, and you have to be open to that possibility. If you just buy into what Albert Einstein said 100 years ago, how are you going to do anything new? You're not. You're buying into what was done 100 years ago, which most people still don't understand at all. Most people don't understand relativity, or, I mean, yeah, whatever. No one really understands quantum mechanics at all. No one can even begin to think of the world in a quantum mechanical way, not even close. That one's basically completely ignored, even though there's deep implications for our everyday life with quantum mechanics, but let's not go there. So challenging authority is very important. Science is seen as an authority. Religion is seen as an authority. These all have to be challenged. Every authority figure has to be challenged. You cannot just accept what they say because you're scared. And kids are taught to do that from a very young age. To not challenge teachers because then you're a bad kid, take away your recess, call your mom, write a think paper. So kids are basically shamed and taught to feel guilty if they challenge authority. And then if they do that, they still feel ashamed of themselves because then they're called bad kids. They get in trouble. They get punished. So challenging authority, I'm not saying that you have to like tear someone down, but what I'm saying is that we have to be able to question our most sort of idealized figures, like Albert Einstein. Although, of course, the guy's really smart, I recommend reading his books. Still, there's a lot more to reality than Albert Einstein. If you want to create something new, if you want to be really smart, you can't just adopt what Einstein said or did. That's just not how it works. You can't adopt science. You can't just adopt the beliefs and ideas of science or some stupid ideology or of any group. Every group has to be challenged. And this is done not in a way to tear them down, but just in a way so that your mind doesn't get trapped in the belief system. Basically, you have to be open to what people are saying and open to investigating it yourself, while also not just completely taking it on blind faith. So it's not done in a way where you're just attacking someone. That's wrong. It's not a healthy way to challenge authority. It's done in a way where you're just carefully questioning and examining information as you go through it, so that you're not just easily bought into any ideology whatsoever, which people are easily bought into their belief systems. Just look around the world. Look at politics, of course. Look at religion. Look at science. Look at sexuality. They're all very ideological. People are deeply bought into this, and no one's creative. Everyone is falling into groupthink. Moving on, making nuanced connections between things. School does not teach you to do that and does not support that. School teaches you how to be very specific in a little narrow area of life. You're either going to become some electrical engineer, a plumber, a behavior analyst. It's very technical, very small. There's no big picture thinking, and there's no making connections between all of these fields. There's no connection making. Everything is very fragmented and divided. So that's openness to experience. Moving on, we don't teach kids how to be healthy, which I talked about already. But teaching kids how to be well is it's the most important thing. How do you be well in life? How do you feel good? How do you be healthy? How do you get your needs met? So teaching kids how to be healthy is extremely important. How do you make money in a healthy way? How do you socialize in a healthy way? How do you relate to people in a healthy way? How do you eat food in a healthy way? What is the food I actually need in order to feel good? Next up is not setting up habits that help kids for success and creativity. And success is broad in this context. Success means feeling good, being well, being creative, getting the money that they need, getting the relationship that they desire. We don't teach that, of course. We don't help them to set up, like, what habits do you need? What habits are important for that? We don't teach kids how to structure their lives so that they can create something for themselves. Instead, we teach them how to adopt something, which is important because a lot of people aren't even going to care about this kind of stuff at all. They're just not going to care. But there's a lot of people who will care, and we do those kids a huge disservice. A lot of people simply will just want to go into a very technical, or not even technical, but just a dull field maybe. A lot of kids, they're just not going to care about this. But a lot of kids will. And it's really messed up that we're stripping almost 100% of the population of this, which is authentic to them. And it's genuine. And that, you know, they adopt this. They adopt this. And then they think that this is normal. This is how life is. And to feel any of this is like unusual. And all of the habits that are associated with this, the whole way of life, the whole way of thinking, the whole way of relating, all of that is unusual. So that's it for this video. If you guys have any questions, leave it in the comment section below. Other than that, take it easy.